Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a DFS Strategy video for the 2026 Players Championship. I'm going a little earlier than I typically do because today was just one of those days I was sick beyond the max, was not feeling good whatsoever, took time off of work. It wasn't good. And I have energy right now. I feel like let's just get this done with, or let's do it while I have energy. So if you all come in at this time, perfect. If not, my apologies. Again, my apologies for this not being at 8 p.m. as it typically is. I'm doing this when I have the energy. I don't know what's in store for me. So anyways, before we get into this strategy video, which I always like to go over the exact same things every single week, just to be consistent, go over all the data points for researching. So I like to go over the golf course and tournament information, go over the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, then get into the bucket system for the Players Championship as well as the marquee tee times, because we want to narrow down our player pools to build better lineups. Now, before I actually talk about all that stuff, just some reminders. I did say in the Sunday night stream with Byron that if we got to 900 subscribers by the time that I run this, or by the time I do this podcast, that I would give away $50. Unfortunately, we didn't get there, and I also wasn't able to really advertise that because, again, I mean, last night is when I started to get sick, so I just passed out, and then for the most part, I didn't have time to do anything. So here's what I'll say. If this channel gets to 900 subscribers by next week, so when I do next week's podcast Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will give away $50 if we can get to 900 subscribers by next week. So it's just 600, or it's only 6 new subscribers. That's it. I only need 6 more. So I'm at 894 out of 900. I need 6 new subscribers. Once we do that, I'll give away $50. Now, I will also still do the $5 weekly giveaway that you can see on the screen right now. That happens every single week. I always give away $5 every single week. So we will be running that giveaway for last week's participants for right now. Also, if you want access to that, be subscribed to the channel and then comment down below. I don't know if I'm going to actually have any roll calls that are going to be available this week. But what you guys can do is after this goes live, comment down below, and then that's how you can get an entry into this giveaway. And of course, at the end of the month, I always do a monthly giveaway, which gives away a free membership to SweetSpotDFS. That's all for you guys. And then also, just one other reminder. So I want to get to 900 subscribers. I actually really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. I have basically, when this channel gets to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away $1,000. Now, 2 of those will become into the form of a giveaway, a subscription, I should say, to SweetSpotDFS.com. One of them is a lifetime membership, which is worth $600. Another one is an annual membership, which is worth $200. And then I have 2 $100 cash giveaways. So if you don't care about the subscription, you can still win the cash giveaways. So that is available to you. Sorry if I seem distracted. I'm trying to get the giveaway entries updated, because I forgot to do that before jumping live. Doing this earlier than usual is can throw you off a little bit. Okay. I have it. All right. We're going to do the weekly giveaway for last week, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So the people that were there during the live stream with the roll calls, and then the people who also commented down below after that video went live, they got entries into this giveaway as well. So 24 total entries. We're going to run that giveaway right now. This is for $5. Denny Barry, congrats, man. Denny, I think I know where to send it, so congratulations to you. Like I said, all of these go into the monthly giveaway, so I'll go ahead and add that right now. It's that was the first week of the new month. So if you want an entry into these giveaways, all you got to do is participate. Comment on any of my videos when I'm live. If I have roll calls, that's another way you can get it. Okay, I'm going to jump right into it. I will say this, though. If you want to follow along on anything, SweetSpotDFS.com is the website you can visit. This is called the cheat sheet. It's under Fantasy Tools cheat sheet. It's free to use. You just need to have a free membership. So when I go over this, when I come back to this page and show you the golfers that I like and stuff like that, you guys can actually follow along with me. All you need is a free account at SweetSpotDFS.com. Now, if you want the spreadsheet version, come down here and click here. This will open up the Google Sheet that I will also be using. I'll be using my own Google Sheet, but you guys can follow along. This is an exact copy of the one that I will be using. So this is the one that I will be using. And basically, I go over the bucket system with this as well as the marquee tee times. It's just, this is where I have it currently. I don't have it on the website just yet. It is a work in progress, so I will be working towards getting it to the website. But for now, it's on these Google Sheets. And again, you have access to this. Go to SweetSpotDFS.com, go under the cheat sheet, under Fantasy Tools, cheat sheet, and then that's how you get it. I will also be building lineups at the end. I don't know if anyone's going to be jumping in, but I'll give some ideas to you guys as to how to build lineups this week. This optimizer is available to any one of you guys. So if you want to also build lineups the way that I will be building lineups, all that you have to do is go to Fantasy Tools. Under Optimizer, a page like this will show up, and then a pop-up will happen that says, put your email here, put that in, request now. I will personally get an email request from you. I have to see it with my own eyeballs before I can send it to you, but I will send it to you as soon as I see it. Just throwing that heads up out there. I don't want you guys, getting too frustrated that you're not getting the optimizer. I do have to sleep, at least 6 hours of the day. So for those 6 hours, I might not send it to you, but I will try to send it to you any other moment of the day. So again, that's available for you guys. And let's go ahead now and get into the golf course and tournament information. Now, the one thing I want to say, I say this every single week, the reason to go over the golf course in the tournament is to give you data points in order to research golfers on your own. I will use some of those data points as well, but I feel like there's too many people out there that do a rundown of the golf course, a rundown of the tournament, and give you absolutely zero payoffs, none, and don't even tell you which data points you can use for researching. So I have two tools under Fantasy Tools, tournament stats and golf course stats. The tournament stats are going to give you basically your summaries of the tournament. What I would suggest in the select tournament filter here, type in the players and just have the players show up. The rest of it is just for you to look at however you see fit, honestly. But here we're narrowing down on the Players Championship, figuring out what do we see every single week or every single year that this tournament is played, and then going from there. So, like I said, there's these little summary boxes up here. Average winning score, 14 under par. This has a lot to do with weather. Obviously, look at weather Wednesday night before lineup lock happens Thursday, and then that's you'll get a good sense of what maybe the winning score will be. I have the lowest winning score, the highest winning score, and all the other little pieces of stats up here. Your lowest cut score is -2. Average cut score is even par. Highest cut score is 2. So you might be asking, okay, that's cool. What do I do with a lot of this information? All of these data points here, all of them, can be used on any of the tools that I have. So this is my strokes gain stats tool. If you wanted to come in here to the little podium, this indicates tournament stats. If you scroll down, you can find the strength of field. I would suggest using the old one, the winning score. So basically what I would do is I always want like 3 points the average winning score was 14 under, right? I'd go 3 above and 3 below. So you would put the lowest score first. That'd be minus 17 to minus 11. So put those in there, and that will narrow down, any of the filters. And what those filters will do is just show you how good a golfer plays under those circumstances, under those conditions. So here we have, I've put the filter on. You might not even recognize that or see that, but it has filtered out all the tournaments that don't fall in between that 11 to 17 under winning score filter. So I would suggest just go strokes gained total and see who your best golfers are. And I mean, a lot of them are elite golfers already. Now we can go back to the tournament stats and try to find some other things. Strength of field, 838. That's the average, but this week you can see right here, 2026, it's 861. So for strength of field, I like to do like a 50 point below and over type of thing. So I'd go 811 to 911. And what I would do is, again, I'll go back to that same page. I'm actually going to hit the eraser, get rid of all of the filters. I really only want to look at the last year of stats. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2025 back in here, maybe 2025. And then under the tournament stats, I'm coming down here. Like I said, it's 811 to 911 just to see how good these golfers are. Now, sometimes you won't see a lot of rounds, and that has a lot to do with the date that I selected. So I could go ahead and even move it back further to try to get some more rounds populated under here to whatever feels right to you. Go ahead and do that. And then again, I would just sort by strokes gained total. Danny Walker played here last year at the Players Championship. That is his one bit of history. That's stuff you can ignore. 4 rounds of golf you can kind of ignore. 8 rounds of golf you can kind of ignore as well. But at least for the strokes gained stats tool, the golfers up here are all the golfers in the field this week at the Players Championship. This is just kind of a summary. If you wanted to get more of a deep dive, you'd use the table down here to see all the tournaments that they played, what their actual stats were, all that good stuff. So that is available to you. Again, the whole purpose of going over the tournament and the golf course is to give you data points for researching. I'm not here to show off my golf knowledge to you like some other people do out there. It's just to give you the necessary tools to find the golfers that you want to play. And like I said, every single piece of information, every data point that you see on the screen can be used in my filters for this website. So that's what you have for the tournament information. There's less golfers this week, by the way, than there typically are at the Players Championship. 121, that's actually, it's supposed to be 123. Seamus Power and Patton Kizzire got invited to play because Brooks has kind of a special status that he can play, and they always try to get that number divisible by 3. So you just have, full groups of 3 that go out there. So 123, that's divisible by 3. Whereas 121 is not. Normally, I mean, it would have been 120 if Brooks wasn't available, but obviously, again, with the special status that Brooks has, that field's a little different. Now, a reason to bring it up is if you look at all the previous years, 144 golfers, 154, that was one time in 2021. That had a lot to do with the year before being canceled, so they tried to make it a full field event, or, a very full field event, 156 golfers, but normally it's 144. It's your best golfers that get invited here. And it's usually the highest strength of field outside of the PGA Championship. But again, that type of information isn't that big of a deal. It's all about what to do with that information. And on my website, you can go ahead and use the data points that I'm going over as filters. All right, the golf course. You got to go ahead and put in the Players Championship in order for the golf course to show up. So I'll select the Players Championship. We will select TPC at Sawgrass, the stadium course, and there we have it. We have our golf course. So what's interesting about this page? Well, there's a couple things that you can get from it. I will have to make some updates because there is overseeded grass. I don't know why this says no, but it should say yes. It definitely is overseeded. That's if you know anything about Power BI, there are some weirdness things that happen. Like it either asks for the first or the last or the minimum or the maximum. I don't know what I have set here, but this should be yes for overseed grass. My apologies. But the golf course, the architect is Pete Dye. If you go to the cheat sheet, this Google sheet that I have, I showed you how to get there before. You will see under grass stats, I have bent grass as well as Pete Dye. Now, the reason that I have that has everything to do with the architect. The architect, Pete Dye, if you don't know anything about him, he is a bit different with his architecture. The main thing people say is he tries to trick you visually. You know, he'll have tee boxes that will be pointing a little off position of where the fairways are. And what I mean by that is if you had a tee box here and it like the square was like this, the fairway would be like this. So it'd be pointing you this way, but the hole is over here. And that's kind of true with a lot of Pete Dye golf courses. He uses railroad ties to kind of shift your view somewhere else. A lot of that isn't that big of a deal, if I'm being honest with you. I've played a couple Pete Dye golf courses. What ends up happening is on the greens, that's where it gets tricky. The greens are the tricky part. The rest of the golf course is not, but the greens are tricky because he does use undulation just a little bit differently than most people. And those visual cues also kind of mess with you a little bit. So when you think a putt breaks left, that's because Pete Dye wants you to think it breaks left. A lot of times it might go straight or it might break right. Now, there's only 2 golf courses I've ever played that were Pete Dye golf courses, and that's what happened on both of them. I've been told that's what it's like on all of them. Don't know how true that is. Just throwing that out there. I include Pete Dye results, average finishing positions on that Google sheet, because I do think you need some knowledge on how to play Pete Dye golf courses. So I just kind of add it as an additional piece to the model that I create. And it's all just to give you a better sense of who's really good this week. So throwing that out there, Pete Dye is definitely someone worth talking about, especially when it comes as an architect. With that, if you don't really care, that's fine. You don't have to. The rest of the information you can see on here, like I said, it is overseeded. So just pretend this says a Y. And these are the grasses that you'd want to look at when it comes to filtering down on your players. Again, the whole purpose of this is giving you data points. So the greens are Poa Trivialis, not Velvet Bentgrass. So again, this might be a Power BI thing. I'll have to look into it. Power BI is where I visualize the data for you guys to see. So that's my fault. My fault for not looking at this before jumping live. But it is just Poa Trivialis. So if I go to strokes gain stats, we have this nice little grass filter here. If you come down here and we're looking at the greens grass, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the little eraser button, make sure all of that is removed. And then if I go to the grass stats, I can look at green grass. I would just put Poa. I've just summarized this. If you want to get into a specific grass, if there's overseeded green grass, I think we can go Poa Trivialis. And we can see all of the golf courses that have Poa Trivialis on it. Now, the one thing that most people are going to be like, well, we only want to look at putting, right? I don't think so. You can look at whatever you want. Obviously, off the tee and approach has nothing to do with the greens being Poa Trivialis, like obviously. But what I would say is a lot of those golf courses that do have those greens, I still want an overall viewpoint of how a golfer is doing on those golf courses. I think it all matters. Off the tee and approach, that goes hand in hand with ball striking, obviously. And if the ball striking is good, that means the golfers are getting the ball closer to the hole. So if they have good ball striking plus good putting, that means on these Poa greens, they've gotten figured out. So what you could do, again, strokes gained total, you can go ahead, look at it this way. Justin Thomas pops. I would just be very leery of it if you didn't already know. He's coming off of a back surgery. He was dead last week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I think he shot like 14 over, 16 over, something like that. It was pretty embarrassing for a tour pro. If it wasn't because of his back injury, it would be extremely embarrassing, but you know, because of his surgery, it's not as bad. Not as bad. So I would ignore him, but the rest of the golfers, I mean, Taylor Moore's an interesting golfer to see up here. Daniel Berger, who I have always been on record saying I do not want to play him week after week after week after week. If I go to the cheat sheet and we go down to where Daniel Berger is, he's right here. And this is the cheat sheet under recent form for this week. So if I look at Danny Berger, we select his name, we can see the results that he has had. Not so much just the results, but he's playing on his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 6th week in a row. And again, I'm going to raise my hand. I've been on record saying I don't like playing Daniel Berger 2 weeks in a row. He had a wrist injury that he ended up having to get surgery on. Ever since that moment, anytime he plays back-to-back weeks, it's been terrible finishes. Like if you look, he finished 16th, what was that, 5 weeks ago? And then he followed that up with a 75th place finish. That makes sense to me. Then he followed up with an 85th, which is a missed cut in my database. So he missed the cut. Then he followed that with a 32nd. Well, a missed cut is technically an event played, but he did get 2 rounds off basically because he didn't make the cut. So he had a little bit of time to rest and relax, but 32nd place, this to me is very interesting. Like it's just, this is the first time I've seen this in the last 6 years for Daniel Berger, playing this many weeks in a row and getting a 2nd place finish towards the tail end of his consecutive weeks of playing. I'm still going to be leery. I don't want to play Daniel Berger, although he did look good last week. I probably still don't want to play Daniel Berger. Let's see here. We're just kind of going over golfers. Ryan Gerard seems good. I don't mind playing him. JT Poston in the 6K range. There might be a reason to play him. We'll go over the 6K range a little bit later. But yeah, all these very interesting points. And again, you can use the golf course stats as a place to find data points to find the golfers you want to play. I do have shot shapes, a summary of the shot shapes that are, they're not necessary, but they are preferred. Preferred shot shapes will just give them better scoring opportunities. That's it. It's not absolutely necessary. But I do have 4 draws off the tee where I have 0 fades. Just throwing that out there. And the big thing about this golf course that people have been saying this entire week is you don't want to miss left. If you miss left, that's where you're going to have the biggest issues. I will say this, if you flirt with the left side, you'll have the most success. Because you will have to take into the left on certain holes. You'll have to take that into play. The rough this week is 4 inches long, and that isn't showing up. Okay, so I have some work to do when it comes to, I have no idea why the stats are showing the way they did. I actually updated the grass, the turf grass lengths. So I need to revamp this. So it's 4 inches this week. Just throwing that out there. The rough's going to be tough. You don't want to really be missing fairways, but if you do, you're going to obviously want to miss on the correct side or just, you know, play smart. Put it that way. Just play smart. You can see all the holes down here with their yardages and then the shot shapes that are preferred. So you guys can use that however you'd like. That's all that I have for golf course and tournament information. People in the chat, I see you guys. Ryan Henson, you're on early. Denny Barry, oh dang, you're early. How's it going? Yeah, I'm on early because I was fighting a fever last night. I fought a fever all day today. I finally have some energy, so I'm going live now. I'm more deathly afraid that I won't have energy later, and therefore I won't be able to get a video out. So here we are, and we'll go for as long as I have energy for, and it's dwindling pretty quickly. So I'm trying to get through a lot of this as quick as I can. But anyways, moving on. Pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. Okay. One thing to note when it comes to pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, DraftKings has thrown us a curveball this whole year. We have Scotty Scheffler at $14,000. He's been 14,000 almost every event he's played. This changes things drastically when it comes to this whole sweet spot process. But we've adapted. We understand what we need to do and figure out everything. So one thing I will say, come here to the Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineups tool. We're going to go over two of these, Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineups, as well as the historic salary builds. If you go into the little bullseye right here, we can go down here and see what the highest price golfer is. If we go ahead and just put 13,800 to 15.2, that's fine. I'm actually going to go ahead and select the tournament. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. These are the historic lineup filters. Ah, yes. No, not this one. Not this one. We want this one up here. So 14,000. Use this one up here. Sorry for that, guys. And we'll X out of that. And then I want to select all the tournaments, but I want to get rid of the Tour Championship. Tour Championship had weird salaries. So when it comes to the golfers over the last X amount of years, you can see just recently 2025 US Open, 2025 Open. So last year we had Scotty, actually, hold on. I think he was 13 something, right? At the PGA Championship. I don't know. What was his price tag at the PGA Championship? Did they really give him a break at the PGA Championship? I'm looking for last year's PGA. Oh, there it is right here. 2025. He was 13.4. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, I thought he was 14,000, but if I go 14,000 up, outside of Rory McIlroy in 2015, 11 years ago, we had not seen a $14,000 golfer that wasn't in the Tour Championship until last year at the US Open, as well as the Open. So those 2 years, or those two tournaments, were last year, and they're major championships where they brought in a $5,000 range, 5K range. And if you were with me last year, you all know that I had a big issue with the 5K range. I still have an issue with the 5K range. It still gives me, I still have nightmares about it. But since the Procore and all the way until even today at the Players Championship, he's $14,200. Now, why is that such a big deal? Why am I making a big deal about this? It's because lineup building becomes way more challenging because there are no $5,000 golfers. We could make conversions for the US Open and the Open Championship where those 5Ks we can actually pretend are 6Ks. Some of the 6Ks we can pretend are 7Ks. We can smush those lineups closer to each other, or those prices closer to each other, because if DraftKings was going so high with Scotty, but then dropping down the bottom of the price range even further, it still made lineups easier. It isn't easy with 6Ks. And in fact, you're building a lot of bad lineups when you have to include 6K golfers. So the conversation every week, at least for 2026, if you've been on this channel, is how do we build Scotty Scheffler lineups when he's $14,000? Obviously, you do have to include some 6K golfers, but how many is too many? How many is just not a good idea? That's where the bucket system comes into play, and I'll actually get to that. I will just show you quickly. With the bucket system, I already have the Players Championship. What I would do is come down to the results with lead-in bucket stats and just find some commonalities for golfers in the 6K range at this tournament. You will see all the 6K golfers for the Players Championship. I'd even change the finishing position to be like 1 to 15th place. And then you can find the common, like, first of all, read the names. Figure out, are these golfers any good? Were these golfers any good at those times of when the tournament was played? And then I would compare these golfers to the golfers we have in the field this week. So if we just look, and again, you can select different years. If we just look at 2025, here were your 6K golfers that finished inside the top 15. There were 3 of them. That's wonderful because we need at least 3 of them to play with Scotty Scheffler. So here you have a $6,700 JJ Spawn who finished second place, $6,100 Tom Hoagie, and a $6,800 Lucas Glover. Again, if we go throughout the years, we can kind of see some of the other golfers. There were only two in 2024. That was Mav McNeely and Taylor Montgomery. Now, the beautiful thing about the bucket system is you have different views that you can look at. So you can look at the raw stats. That's the view that's currently selected. So that just shows you what was their raw course history. Coming into this event, Mav McNeely had a 63.67 average finishing position. Taylor Montgomery had a 44th average finishing position. You can also see what their last year's score was. Well, 44th, and his course history is 44. That's easy to figure out. That was his first time ever playing the Players' Championship, was 2023, where he finished 44th place. Whereas Mav McNeely finishing 60th, but his average course history or his average finishing position at the Players is 63.67. Yeah, you can't really tell how many events he played unless you go back to the cheat sheet and look at the course history. And then you can look at the recent form. But I also have strokes gain stats that you can look at as well. And this is their lead-in stats. I, at SweetSpotDFS, only care about lead-in stats. You know how a lot of people say, oh, this is a golf course where approach matters. Is that because the golfers that week played well and had really good approach stats? So every time this tournament is played, the golfers inside the top 10, top 20 had good approach stats? That seems kind of stupid. What were their lead-in stats? That's my big issue with modern day analysis, is like, what were their lead-in stats coming in? Here you go. You can actually look at their lead-in stats. Nothing was good between Mav McNeely and Taylor Montgomery. I could even go back to 2025 and we can look here. I mean, JJ Spawn had good stats coming in. Tom Hoagie really did not. And we could say Lucas Glover had good stats coming in. So we can go back to other years. So 2023, what did we see here? Justin Suh, David Lingmerth, and Adam Svensson. Were any of those golfers on your bingo cards? Probably not. None of those golfers were really that good. So what I'm trying to get at is, one, do with all this information however you'd like. Come to the website, check it out, do your own analysis, do your own digging. What I would prefer, what I would do is I'm looking at some of these names. None of these guys really scream out, these are all player champion material golfers. Like Justin Suh, if you've ever followed him, watched him play golf at any point in time, he sprays the ball all over the place. He's very volatile. David Lingmerth can barely drive at 280 yards. Like, he just doesn't hit the ball super far. And Adam Svensson was younger, but he was still a decent golfer. So again, with all of this stuff, it's just like, how do you feel about the golfers you see in past tournaments finishing inside the top 15? And then can you compare them to whatever's happening this week? So going back to the whole conversation with Scottie Scheffler, is you need to pair him up with 6K golfers. And I think you need to marry what I just showed you with the bucket system, like which 6K golfers are good, and pair them up with Scottie Scheffler if you want to play Scottie Scheffler this week. Now, the thing is, if we go back to pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, I'm actually going to remove, I'm going to hit the eraser here, and just go ahead and put in the Players' Championship. So let's go ahead, let's deselect that, but type in the Players. And what we could do is just go year by year, select whatever lineup we want to look at. So let's say GPP winning lineup. Last year, Rory McIlroy he won at $11,500. And it went from a 10K to 2 8s, a 7, and 2 6s. That GPP winning lineup used up $49,600 of the salary. Do the same thing in 2024, where you actually had 2 10K golfers in the GPP winning lineup, 12-8 and 11-3, but then it dropped down to 7-9, 6-8, and here's that 5K range I'm telling you about, that I was talking to you about. Now, when I did conversions that week, we would push these 5K golfers up to 6K. These 12K, 11K golfers would actually get smushed down. So Xander, instead of being 11-3, we would consider him like 10, 10-5, 10, somewhere between 10-13 3 and 10-6. And then Scotty would have went from like 12-8 down to 11-8 to 12,000, something like that. And everybody else would have gone up. Brian Harmon probably would have just stayed at 7,900 because that's kind of what happened every single year. I just mention all that because when you do have this 5K range, that's the only realistic way of kind of getting there and doing that. In 2023, your highest paid golfer was, or the most expensive golfer was 10,600. That was Scotty Scheffler. Then it went 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7. So just in the 3 years I'm showing you, it appears that the 7K range is very healthy in the GPP winning lineups. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. It looks like, yeah, 2024 was just weird because of that 5K range. Like I said, 5K range just ruins everything. It just ruins everything. 2 8K golfers is what I'm seeing. A 10K with 2 8Ks. If we go to 2022, you got 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 6. 2021, which was a weird year anyways. 9, 9, 3 7s, and a 6. That lineup left $900 on the table. That's insane. But that's just a way to kind of, get your heads turning as to what kind of lineups have worked at the Players Championship. Now, I only went through the GPP winning lineups. You can go through, like, the SweetSpot Optimal is probably my favorite filter to use because this is giving you the best lineup that uses $49,600 of the salary and above. Man, 2025 had a 5K range even. I hate 5K ranges, dude. I hate 5K ranges. Basically, this was definitely a 6K golfer. These two golfers would be 7Ks. This would still be an 8K golfer, and these still would be 10K golfers. So it'd be 10, 10, 8, 7, 7, 6. That's basically what that would have looked like. 10, 10, 8, 7, 7, 6. Yeah, okay. In 2024, 5K range yet again. Yay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6. 2023, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Now, that is the typical jingle to the channels, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Because if you go to the historic salary builds, there are no filters on here. The most common lineup build is a 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. There's 140 records. That's 12.5% of all salary builds that I've recorded. I record 3 different types of builds: GPP winning lineup, the optimal lineup, and the SweetSpot optimal. Those are the 3 lineup builds that I save every single week. I capture them and I put them into the database. I currently have 1,100 or 1,115 total lineups, and this is in 140. Then it's followed by 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, followed by 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6. That is what we see at the Players Championship more often than not. 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6. Then a 10, 9, 3 7s and a 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 7, 10, 9, and 4 7s. The one thing that you see common up here is the fact that there's a ton of 10K golfers that anchor these lineups. The one thing we've learned with Scotty Scheffler being in the field this week, or just in any tournament that he's in, whenever he's $14,000, what you'll end up seeing is there's Rory at 11.7 and then Tommy Fleetwood at 10.3. There's only 2 other 10K golfers that usually accompany Scotty Scheffler at that 10K and above range. So then we get more 9Ks, we get more 8Ks, we get more 7Ks put in here. Normally you'll see anywhere between like 6 to 8, 9K golfers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a bit more. I mean, that's average of the numbers I just gave you. 6 to 8 is usually what we see. This is 7. 10K usually, or 8K usually get 10 golfers there. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we actually have our 10 8K golfers. 7Ks, you normally have like 35 or something to that effect. I would show you that. I can show you it this way. If I go to kind of the old school way of looking at the buckets, and I come down here to salaries, we can see the salary totals every single year at the Players Championship. 10Ks, 4s and 5s. We even had 6 in 2019, but 4s and 5s. 9K range, like I said, it's somewhere between 6 to 8. We've seen 7s here quite a bit, 6s and 8s. Yep. 8K range. You have normally 10. There we have it. Normally we have 47K golfers, but we have 35 this week. That has a lot to do with the fact that the field size has been shortened. It's smaller. So we don't have 144 golfers in the field. Instead, we have 123 golfers in the field. So there has to be numbers that get taken away somewhere. 31 high 6K golfers, that's lower than usual. We see somewhere north of 35. And then there are 35 low 6K golfers, and that's actually low as well. So we have more high expensive golfers this week than we typically would see at any other Players Championship. And again, that has a lot to do with the fact that Scottie Scheffler is 14,200. Now, what do you do with this information? Okay. I've always joked, I don't think AJ Love is here, but AJ always says we need to create a Scottie button. Whenever Scottie's in the field, you just create a button and it changes our expectations for the week. What that means is anything that I've ever covered on this channel, especially when I go over buckets, if Scottie Scheffler is included in one of those buckets or if he affects any of the other buckets, you have to ignore it. You have to ignore it because he's such a good golfer and he's so expensive that he's going to make certain things that look true false. And here, let me give you an example because I'm not doing this justice. If I go to the bucket system, and I know we're kind of crossing into the bucket system, I'll get more into it a little bit later. We're still talking pass optimal and GPP lineups because there has to be strategy that's included. You can see these projections right here. 2 to 5 for last year 1. We also have, these projections here. If I go in and I just remove Scottie Scheffler, because it looks at these stats right here. It just looks at Scottie Scheffler being in the field. If I do that, if you were paying attention, you'd see a lot of these numbers changed. I wouldn't say drastically, but considerably. This was closer to a 2 to 5, and now it's more of a 1 to 4. Like, yeah, sure, it's still 2 to 5 technically, but it went down, and that's because Scottie Scheffler was in that bucket. Well, if these numbers go down, that means these numbers go up. And I'm just looking at the last year stat bucket. That's all I'm looking at. Everything else changes when Scottie Scheffler's in the field. The same thing applies when it comes to any of these other buckets, and especially the salary ranges. So I go over all of that basically just to tell you I've already taken a lot of that into consideration. So if you do request the optimizer, I have all of those min-maxes updated when it comes to the bucket system and which golfers we should pull from. Because here's the issue. This is the main issue when it comes to it. If we put Scottie Scheffler in a lineup, he's $14,200. So actually, let's pull this up. I'm gonna select yes, and I'm just gonna run the optimizer. I know it's gonna this is gonna be the most optimal lineup with Scottie Scheffler. As you can see, $14,200. The next 5 golfers are in the 7K range and 6K range. Like, this is a pretty decent lineup, but when it comes to building a Scheffler lineup, you are not really able to play anybody in the 9K range or the 8K range. So that's where it kind of comes down to. Which lineups are the best lineups to build? And I'm actually going to pull up a tweet that I had sent. So I'd said, this is the Arnold Palmer Invitational, by the way. Kind of crazy that you could still make a decent profit by starting your lineups with Scottie Scheffler, who finished 24th. This was at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. This lineup right here with Scottie in it, 14,001, 84, 75, 68, 68, 61. That's the only, this was the best Scottie Scheffler lineup you could have built. And these are the results that you could have gotten. You could have got 4th on the $5 drive the green, and you could have gotten 6th in the $25 sand trap. There's a milli maker this week, so that is going to be even crazier yet. But if you just put a single bullet in here, $5 is what costs this one, 25 here, your ROI is pretty decent, And I make this claim, or I say this because Scottie Scheffler, being as expensive as he is, everybody talks about what place he needs to finish in order to pay off his price tag. Yeah, that didn't win you a GPP last week. That lineup I just showed you did not win you a GPP. $14,100. Again, only as good as 4th place in Drive the Green, only as good as 6th place in the Sand Trap. But if you are going to build a Scottie Scheffler lineup, I think the most common, the most successful lineup you can build, and you can do this a couple different ways, by the way. What we could do is actually use this Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineup tool. Instead of pushing in the players, we can actually just look at the Arnold Palmer Invitational from last week, or any tournament you want to look at where Scottie Scheffler was $14,000. And hopefully you were able to follow along with me to see how to find Scheffler at 14,000. But obviously he was last week. So we go ahead and put 2026 in, and we can sort from salaries up and below. So what you could do is just start building lineups. First of all, maybe put the GPP winning lineup in here just to see how many points that scored. Scored 598, and just see what kind of lineups you can build that could get close. So if you hold down the control button on your keyboard and you're using this tool called Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineups, hold down control and left click players' names. So Scheffler is something that I obviously, yeah, let's start there. Now, let's find some 6K golfers, and I think, you know, just to make things easier, like I liked Bud Cauley last week, but no. Let's do Sahith at 68, Danny Berger at 68, and then, yeah, I suppose it did need a $6,100 golfer, Billy Horschel. Those were the golfers that, you know, we could do. You can see the total salary being built on this tool right here. It doesn't show you how many golfers you've selected, so you're going to have to keep track of that yourself. I've selected 4 already. I've got Billy Horschel, Theegala, Berger, and then I've got Scottie Scheffler. So I have essentially $16,000 to play with, right? So I could actually go ahead and put in maybe, who was it? Cam Young. And now I have $7,100 left. So I could go down to a $7,100 golfer, Harry Hall. And there we go, $50,000 spent. So you can kind of see what types of lineups you could actually build with Scottie, and just kind of flirt around, or, you know, not flirt around, but mess around with which lineups would do well. Now, this scored 547 points. That wasn't even nearly close to the GPP winning lineup that scored 598. But you can go ahead and kind of mess around. Now, another way to do this, by the way, under historic salary builds, you can go ahead and hit the little crosshair up here again, and under the historic lineup filters, we can look at all the successful Scottie Scheffler lineups that were $14,000 and above. And again, what I would suggest, go in here, select all the tournaments, but we want to get rid of the Tour Championship. Just go ahead and get rid of the Tour Championship. And so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total lineups that you can actually look at. And you can see what those salary builds are. The most common is a 10, 8, 2 7s, and 2 6s, followed by 10, 3 7s and a 6, 10, 8, 8, 7, 6, 6, 10, 9, 7, 7, 6, 6, 10, 9, 4 7s. And then you can see what tournament those applied to. So really, it's up to you guys. I would say these types of lineups here with Scottie Scheffler just give me an idea of what I can do with my lineups, right? Like, I just want to see, if I build a Scottie lineup, what's the most common lineup build that's going to happen? And you can see this one has the 10, the 3 7s, and 2 6s. That, again, was shown right here. 10, 3 sevens, and 2 sixes. That was at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am this year, 2026. And we can go into that by going to the Pass Optimal GPP winning lineups, type in ATT, we go to Pebble Beach, we put in the SweetSpot Optimal, and you can see that Scottie Scheffler was actually in the SweetSpot Optimal because you could put a lineup with him and Colin Morikawa in it, and a bunch of other guys that finished second and, second place, 8th place, 14th place. So that scored 751.5 points. You can actually go toggle between GPP winning lineup and any of the other lineups just to see how well it did. The GPP winning lineup scored 736. Your SweetSpot Optimal scored 751. So that's how you can find some Scottie Scheffler lineups. I know I'm kind of going pretty far with all of this, but if you didn't want to do Scottie Scheffler lineups, the most common lineup build in 2026 is a 998776, believe it or not. Now the jingle on this channel is a 1098776, but this is the Scottie effect because he's $14,000 and because we don't have that many 10K golfers as we typically do. Remember, I just showed you going through this. If I go down to the salaries and we look at the totals, we normally see somewhere between 4 to 5 10K golfers. This week we have 3. So there is a big difference, and that has a lot to do with Scottie being $14,000. I mention all that because this is your new 1098776 lineup. I was talking about this with Byron on our Sunday night podcast. It is, I call a 9+, then a 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. So 9 plus 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. That's, it kind of sounds a little goofy, but basically with the cheat sheet like this, that means like Colin Morikawa is your resident 10K golfer. He's my 9+ golfer. You could also put Xander in there as well, because these two guys, if it wasn't for Scottie being $14,000, would have been in the 10K range. Now, the only thing is, this actually offers you the ability to build easier lineups because you are not stretching to play a 10K golfer. And that's kind of what I'm suggesting to all of you that aren't going to play Scottie or Rory or Tommy Fleetwood, is just to go with a 2 9s, 8, 2 7s, and a 6. And again, that is the most common build so far this year. And it has a lot to do with it being, it's the Scottie effect. Now, outside of that, 10, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6. That is the next most common lineup build. And you can see where that actually applies to. I mean, that's a Scottie Scheffler lineup. That's a $14,000 lineup. That has Scheffler as $14,000. A 10, 10, 2 7s, and 2 6s that happened at the Genesis Invitational. So we could take a look at that. And we can look at all the different lineups. So what lineup does this actually pertain to? SweetSpot Optimal and the GPP winner. Okay. So here's your GPP winner. 11-3 and 10-3. Well, we have 11-7 and 10-3. That's pretty darn close, right? You could build a lineup like that. You'd have to then drop down into the 7K range and then get down into the 6K range as well. That might be a little bit more tricky because when we go over the bucket system, you're not going to find a lot of 6K golfers that are actually doing well. So, yeah, I think, honestly, I'm going to put a bow on this topic. The 998776 is probably my preferred way to build lineups this week, especially at the Players Championship, where 6K golfers, I've just not seen much commonality with 6K golfers. It's going to be much more challenging to find a good 6K golfer to anchor your lineups around, or maybe not even anchor, even if you're playing like 10 lineups or 20 lineups, it's just going to be really difficult to put a 6K golfer together in a lot of these lineups, which makes Scottie Scheffler lineups even harder yet to build. So that's my 2 cents on all of that. Looking at the chat, Denny says, I won the giveaway again. Holy cow. Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did. And Bryson Anderson, good afternoon, sir. Do you think that the 6Ks are better this week, though? like in comparison to other other years at the Players Championship? Is that what you're asking? I think we'll probably get into we'll get into it here with the bucket system, and that's what we're gonna get to right now. All right, you guys can follow along with me either on the website SweetSpotDFS.com or on the cheat sheet. You scroll down, you find this cheat sheet, you click here, that opens up a Google sheet that looks like this. I have a bucket system here for you guys to look at as well. And I'm going to kind of go between my website, which looks like this, and my own spreadsheet that looks like this. So first things first, when it comes to the bucket system on the website, there are several ways you can attack this. I have 3 different sections on here. You have the bucket system summary. This gives you top 10 stats, optimal lineup stats, top 5, top 20 stats. Just gives you their frequencies. How often do golfers from each of these buckets finish inside the top 10, the optimal lineup, the top 5, top 20. You can see the numbers down below. You can see their frequency numbers. Now, frequency on this channel is just out of all of the years, how many has at least one happened in each of the years? And if at least one has happened in each of the years, that's 100%. So if I select this last year 1 and we scroll all the way down, like I said, there are 3 different data, 3 different reports, tools, if you want to call them that, on this page. I can come down here and look at bucket totals per year, and we can look at top 20 counts. We skipped 2021 and we skipped 2020 for last year's stats because 2020 there was no tournament. So in 2021, we're not going to find anything. So we skipped these 2 years. You have to. It makes no sense to add them. So every single year we've seen 6, 4, 5, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 4, 4. And then 2013 doesn't count because I don't have 2012 stats. So 2013 gets skipped and we only look at 2014 to 2025, but we also skipped 21 and 2020 because there was no tournament in 2020. Now, if we look at top 10 counts, you can see it's also 100%. So if I go all the way up here to the top, like I was just at, you can see there's 100% frequency of golfers from the last year 1 bucket finishing inside the top 10. And again, you just find the bucket, you know, the summary bucket here that says top 10 stats. You see the min as 1, the max is 4. There's about a 12% success rate. That means of all golfers in that bucket, 12% have finished inside the top 10. But every single year, we have 1 golfer from that bucket inside the top 10. That's how that's read. And you can drill down on any one of these things, and you can actually hold the control button and left click, and you can select multiples of them. There's also a little, here, let me deselect. Let's deselect that. You can select more up here, like bucket system filters. So whatever bucket you want to look at, if it's just last year 1, everything on this page will then get sorted or filtered out by last year 1. And we want to make sure we deselect all of the years and the buckets, the finishing position. You can see all the golfers that also fit in that bucket. Remember, it's last year 1s. That means a top 20 finish. And you can see under the last year column, everything is top 20. So there are multiple ways to attack the bucket system. You could even go min. We could sort by the min, and we can see that we've seen at least 2 recent form 2 golfers every single year inside the top 10. Well, you can drill down on that, scroll down and see which of those golfers they were. You know, if you want to only look at top 10s, I would then change the finishing position filter over here to say 1 to 10. And now you get every golfer of every year, pretty much, showing of those that finished inside the top 10 that were also in that bucket. Remember, it's recent form 2, so it's that 20 to 40 range, and you can see that under recent form raw stats, or if you want to look at the bucket IDs, you can see they're all recent form 2s. And then, of course, if you want to look at the strokes gained stats, you certainly can. And this might actually give you a bit of an edge to try to find golfers that are good in this bucket, depending on what you find. So I'm gonna go ahead and put raw stats, and then I would just go year by year and just take a look of all the golfers that were in that bucket with that recent form. Who were they? What were their price tags? You know, that's how you would build lineups this week. I'd find golfers of similar, you know, similar stats. And the way you can do this, go to the cheat sheet, the one on the website. You can also do this on the Google sheet, and I'll show you how to do this. But what I would do, let's see, I need to somehow go over. There we go. I would go into the buckets. There's a little bucket filter. It's a nice little fun thing. It's a bucket, and it'll show you the filters for the bucket. Recent Form 2 is what we're just looking at. So if we select Recent Form 2, now look what happens. We only see golfers this week in that Recent Form 2 bucket. You can see how many golfers there are in that bucket up here. Obviously, it shows 31. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in and make sense. Anyways, there are 31 total golfers in that bucket. You can see what their strength of field is and the OWGR. All of these buttons are also filterable. You can go ahead and select, you know, the strokes gained last year is the exact same thing that you'd be looking at here on the bucket system. So if we looked at the strokes gained stats for each of these golfers, remember I was going year by year for recent Form 2 bucket. And you can look at strokes gained total, maybe it's strokes gained approach, maybe it's strokes gained off the tee. They're all positive last year. I don't know if that's a commonality that we want to look at. You would just continue to go every single year and take a look. Is that true? It almost looks like it is. Here's some more positive off the tee golfers from the recent Form 2 bucket. 2023, more positive off the tee. So you go to the cheat sheet, and right here, I mean, if we want to kind of sort out by strokes gained off the tee, these are golfers from the recent Form 2 bucket that you might not want to play. Zach Bosho, Christian Bezano, Sahith Theegala, Victor Hovland, Akshay Bhatia, Nick Taylor, and those are the only guys that are negative. But of course, if you go through each and every one of these years, I mean, you're going to find some guys that are negative. Mav McNeely in 2024, $6,300, finished 9th. That's perfect. He did have negative strokes gained off the tee. If we go to 2025, nobody had negative strokes gained off the tee. 2023, nobody. 2022, we did have one, Cam Smith. He won the tournament. That was that windy year, so maybe that's not something we care that too much about. 2021, Lee Westwood had negative strokes gained off the tee, and he finished 2nd. He was $7,200. So you can actually look at a lot of this stuff however you see fit. Our two golfers that finished inside the top 10 were Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose in 2019. They had really good off the tee stats. And if you want to see all the golfers that were in that bucket for that year, you can just remove the finishing position right here. And you can see there was a lot, but only 2 finished inside the top 10. This is what I like the bucket system to do. I can highlight a lot of these stats. I can do a deep dive on each of these buckets and just figure out what are some of the commonalities that we see. The easy way, like I was saying before, to do this is we can look at the best buckets that perform every single week or every single year at the Players Championship. And that obviously appears to be the recent Form 2 bucket, followed by the last year 1 bucket, the last year 5 bucket, which are golfers who missed the cut at the Players Championship last year, the course history 3 bucket, which is like middle of the pack course history. And you can see all the numbers that come with it. You know, course history 3, we've had up to 4 in the optimal lineup, 87.5%. And again, because I've selected that bucket, I can come down here and we can filter out the golfers. You know, I've selected course history 3. We can look at each of the golfers that are in those buckets and again try to compare them to this year. What do we notice? Last year it was Bud Cauley, and that was it in the course history 3 bucket. That's crazy. 2024 we had 3 golfers, 2 in the 10K and above bucket. That's kind of crazy, by the way. Okay. 2023, you had Hovland, Sung Jae, a lot of, and Max Homa. 2022, lots of 7 and 6K golfers. It's kind of, well, it's all over the place. There's no commonality when it comes to like price tag. I'm like, ooh, maybe this is where you can find all the 7Ks and the 8Ks, but nope, I'm not really seeing that. Okay, anyways, you can use this however you'd like. This is the website. Now going over the Google Sheet, again, you have access to the Google Sheet from this cheat sheet page. So if you scroll down and you come here to this cheat sheet that I'm highlighting on the screen, hit the little click here button, and this will pop open the Google Sheet that I'm going to be using right now, and you can come down to the bucket system and take a look there. But what I would do with this, I actually have projections in here. I will have projections on the website at some point in time when it comes to these buckets, but as of right now, I can only do it on the Google Sheets. I would go ahead and put a filter on this, and I would look at everything that's 1 or greater than 1 for the minimum projection. So that's column H. If you go into here and you select greater than or equal to 1, and then for max projection, I'm going to go greater than or equal to 2.2. And technically everything that you see on the screen for bucket wise, these are your anchor buckets. So if I zoom in a little bit more, last year 1, last year 5, last week 1, last week 5, last week 6, course history 2, course history 3, recent form 1, 2, and 3, and then all of your stroke gain stats. If this is too much for you, which I understand how it could be, you don't have to worry about that because the optimizer puts all of those projections in here. Now, the one thing that I made an update to is I put in the Scotty Scheffler button, basically. Like I was saying this earlier, AJ, that you always mention we need to have a Scotty Scheffler button. I already applied the Scotty Scheffler button. So all that means is if Scotty's in a bucket, and actually what I ended up doing is I removed Scotty from my spreadsheets, from everything, and re-updated what these bucket numbers are. Because Scotty's going to be in some of these buckets. And when Scotty's in those buckets, he is going to influence them pretty exaggeratively. So you kind of have to make that update. Because let's just look at the last year 1 bucket, for instance. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this cheat sheet right here. And we're going to go into the last year 1 bucket. And we're going to sort salary top to bottom. So if from my Google Sheet, it says we want to find somewhere between 2 to 5 golfers, because we always round down with the minimum, we always round up with the maximum. We want to find 2 to 5 golfers from this bucket to put in our lineups. That's 2 to 5. Okay. What happens when it's Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy that finish inside the top 10? You're not going to be able to play both of them. That's not going to, you can't build lineups with both of those golfers in it. Now, this is the other thing that comes with this, because I know what some of you guys might be thinking. I mean, there are 28 total golfers in that bucket, by the way. Believe it or not, there were 28 guys who finished top 20 last year. It's more than I've ever seen, ever. So, yeah, we could certainly see like 5 golfers finishing inside the top 10 this week from this bucket. But there's Colin Morikawa at 98. There's Bobby Mack at 88. Shane Lowry at 86. Patrick Cantlay at 82. If you're building a Scotty Scheffler lineup, he might be the only golfer from this bucket that you can even put in a lineup. So that means only one. It's only one guy that you can put in that bucket. But if Scotty is in the top 10, and let's just say JJ Spawn also is. So he's $7,400. Well, we don't have a large chunk of golfers, you know, like 9,800. We have more 9K golfers than just Colin at 9,800. What happens if JJ Spawn at 7,400 and Scotty finish inside the top 10? Does that mean you have to play both of them? you might be able to build a lineup with both of them, but you might not be able to take down a GPP because of the other price tags that go into lineup building, into the DraftKings salaries. So if I actually, let me deselect this, go back into here. What other ones do I have? Let's just hit the eraser button. Fine. If I go back into here, and obviously we were just looking at last year ones. Well, if I select last year 2, last year 3, last year 4, last year 5, last year 6, we've got Xander at 9,600, Metziam at 95, Siwoo at 93, Chris Goddard at 92, Hovland at 91, Russell Henley at 9,000, Fitzpatrick at 89. So what happens then if, say, Oberg at 87, Fitzpatrick at 89, Goddard up at 92, and Schauffele at 96 also finished inside the top 10? It really comes down to how much better does Scottie Scheffler play than these golfers? And that's very difficult to, it's very difficult to figure out. So here's the issue. And this is a long conversation topic to basically say these bucket projections have to be watered down because of Scottie Scheffler being in the field at $14,000. That's the big thing. At $14,000, we have to make adaptations to our projections. If we don't, and we try to follow the bucket system absolutely perfectly, we're going to probably hurt ourselves in the long run. So again, I already said this once, and sorry for repeating myself, I have updated the projections over here in the optimizer to account for what I just was talking about. So that way we don't have to worry about what I was just talking about. But I want you all to know, like, I just want to be transparent and give you as much information as possible. So that is really all that I have with the bucket system. I could go through each one of these buckets and tell you all my favorite plays for each of these golfers, but you guys can do the same thing. And the easy thing too, by the way, all you need is a free account, the cheat sheet, go under Fantasy Tools cheat sheet. This one right here, you just hit the little bucket icon and the bucket filters happen. You can look at every single bucket that I was just mentioning. So you could either pause the video and look at all of the projections and then come into here and find out which golfers do you like the most out of, say, the last year one bucket. You know, if you like these golfers. This is so funny. I know what's happening and I forgot. Oh, I hate that. If you ever have issues, if something doesn't look right, go down and hit the eraser button. Always. Just go down and hit the eraser button. My filter from next week is being applied to here. If I hit it twice. Wow. Unbelievable. Okay, good to know. Man, these updates, they can be kind of... Okay, so guys, if you see this, last week 5, last week 6, just X out of that, come down here, hit the eraser button, come back up, and then select the buckets that you want to look at. I apologize for that. Oh boy. I just have the wrong buttons, the wrong actions assigned to these buttons. So my apologies. I will update that, but what I was trying to get at is just go into each of these buckets, update them however you see fit, or make the adjustments, and then find the golfers that you want to play. So that's all that I have with the bucket system. Thank you all. You know what? I'll do a roll call right now. I posted in the chat, roll call number 1, who's winning this week? Yeah, so surprisingly, just an update for some of the people that just came in, I was not feeling well whatsoever. I actually took time off of work today because I had a fever last night and I had a fever this morning, and body aches, chills, all of that stuff was happening all day today. And I started to feel a little bit better not too long ago. I don't know if I broke my fever because I was sweating like crazy. But I'm feeling good enough to do this right now, so we're doing it now. Want to do it now and get it over with, then try to struggle at 8 p.m. if it comes back. And right now I'm actually feeling pretty good. So maybe I broke the fever. I don't know. But I am also, what ends up, I've had this happen before where I've gotten this kind of like fever, whatever, congestion happens afterwards, and I'm actually free of congestion right now. Or, I mean, I'm a little congested. But we're okay. We're fine for now. Tomorrow might be a different story though. And for the members only, I might not have a video tomorrow. It really depends on how I feel. So be on the lookout. Thank you, Denny. I will say this. I know the YouTube game. If you're not active frequently, you will lose members. You will lose subscribers, believe it or not. I find that odd because I usually stay as a subscriber to the people that I enjoy listening to. But some people, if you are not you're not posting enough, they'll just say no. They'll move on. Also, by the way, if we can get to 900 subscribers by next week, I will do a $50 giveaway. But it's got to be till next week. I mentioned this Sunday night on Byron's stream, or our dual stream, co-stream. We just didn't get to 900 subscribers today. Joanne just says, not Scotty. All right, let's get into the marquee tee times. Now, you guys can follow along with me by going to the website, going under cheat sheet, scrolling all the way down to the bottom, find this cheat sheet right here. Click here. This will open up a Google sheet, and this is the information we're going to be looking at. You can put a filter on here. There is a filter at the top that you can go ahead and put in there. But basically what I am doing, putting a filter on mine, and I'm sorting by the group rank under the tournament information. And these are our top 9 groups. That's okay, Eric. Your health is more important. Appreciate it, Joanne. Okay, so on this channel, what I like to do is anchor 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times that you see on, and I'll highlight these pretty soon, to build our lineups around. Because every single week, at least 90% of the time, or a little bit more than 90% of the time for each of the events, we see 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times inside the optimal lineup, the GPP wing lineup, or the Sweet Spot optimal. So, group 1 is Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, and Justin Thomas. Now, the other thing to say with all of this is we do not want to pair golfers up together in the same group. Here's what I'll say about this first group. Scheffler, Fleetwood, and Thomas. First of all, don't play Justin Thomas. There's no reason to even feel remotely confident, not even if you wanted to be contrarian. He played so terribly last week. There was nothing. There was like very little to even be hopeful for. He looks awful. He's coming back to tournament play from his back surgery. I wouldn't, like, just don't. You do yourself a service and don't play Justin Thomas. Now, that makes this whole group easy because you really can't put Scotty Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood in a lineup together, but you also wouldn't want to pair them up with Justin Thomas anyways, because that is part of the rules. Again, you want to anchor around 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times, but you don't want to play 2 golfers from the same group or 3 golfers from the same group. You only want to play 1 golfer, that's it, from each group. The next group is McIlroy, Schauffele, and Matsuyama, an 11-7, $9,600 and $9,500 golfer. You're likely not even able to play 2 of these guys together anyways, so you got to make your choice. Personally, I like Rory, despite the back injury. I don't really care for Xander. Our next group is Ludwig Åberg, Colin Morikawa, and Siwoo Kim. This kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. I like Åberg, I like Morikawa, and I like Siwoo. So the fact that they're all playing together stinks, but at the same time, it almost feels like this is a very comfortable group to pick at least 1 golfer to anchor around. And I really haven't made up my mind. I mean, I like Colin probably more than either of those guys, but I think there's probably going to have to be some more digging to do in order to actually really feel comfortable playing any of these golfers. But yeah, that's what a group, hey? Group 3? That's insane. Group 4 is Russell Henley, Bobby Mack, and Victor Hovland. I like Henley more than the other 2, but this gives you a good reason to play the other 2, Bobby Mack or Victor Hovland. Bobby Mack actually rates really well in my model. Little do you guys know, Ludwig Åberg is 10th in the model, but that's because I had to give him a little bit of a boost. I gave him a 50-point boost in order for his score to get better. Otherwise, he was like 21st or something like that. So 50 points moved him up like 11 places. That means there's a lot of golfers between ranking like 8 to 22 or something like that are really close in score. Just throwing that out there. Moving on, Minwoo Lee, Chris Gotterup, and Justin Rose. I think that's another pivotal group. If I was anchoring around 2 groups, it'd probably be group 3 and group 5. I don't care that much for Justin Rose, but I do like the idea of Gotterup, and Minwoo has just been phenomenal as of late and also has played pretty well at this golf course. So I actually like that. The next group is also a good group. You got Ben Griffin, that's $8,300. Remember, he's still a good golfer. Adam Scott at $7,300 and Jacob Bridgman at $7,300. That's another good group. The group after that is Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and Sahith Theegala. I feel like this entire group is just the Magic Beans group. Like, they all have very similar styles when it comes to golfing. Maybe not so much Ricky, but like Spieth and Theegala can get out of any place, anywhere. The fact that they're paired up together is kind of funny. I don't know if it'll help them out more or if it will hurt them. Because you get that, because I'd call each one of them pretty inconsistent. Like, they don't really hit the ball as straight as you'd want them to. So yeah, anyways, interesting group. The group after that is JJ Spawn, Shane Lowry, and Sepp Straka. Another interesting group, and another group I don't mind playing golfers from. Your last group is Sam Burns, Cam Young, and Davis Thompson. I like Cam Young more than the other guys, but I could play Sam Burns, and Davis Thompson's fine. So these are your 9 groups. I will build lineups for people who have the badge next to their name. So if you want to put 2 to 4 golfers in the chat right now to build your lineups around, I will do that. We'll probably go through that pretty quick. I'm losing energy pretty fast right now. But that is that's not to guilt you into not giving me lineups. Just be aware that I will probably call her quits soon. We'll play some music in the meantime. I do feel the congestion happening though. Holy crap. It has hit me pretty fast. Minwoo and Straka? Okay. I'll keep this up here and just... All right, AJ, we'll build you 5 lineups. McElroy, Oberg, Knapp, Straka, Minwoo, and Harry Hall. That's pretty good. Denny's like, we would forgive you if you wanted to go to bed or something. I don't even know if I'd be going to bed. Like, so I'm good. I'm good. I'm good for now. I'll say this. I'm not going to stay on for another hour. I know that for certain. Next lineup is Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, Griffin, Straka, Minwoo Lee, and Ryan Gerard. I don't hate that lineup. Appreciate that, Joanne. When I had said what I just said, I realized I said it in a manner that was just like, I don't want to be here, but that's not true. I'd rather build lineups for you guys than just leave. So if you guys want lineups built, I will build you lineups. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. I didn't mean it to sound that way. Sometimes things just come out of my mouth and it's like, ah, shoot, I want to take it back, but I can't. McElroy, Cantlay, McNeely, Straka, Minwoo, and Ricky Fowler. Fleetwood, Hovland, Koepka, Straka, Minwoo, and Kitayama. Okay. I don't mind that last lineup. McElroy, Oberg, Batia, Straka, Minwoo, and Ryan Fox. Let's see if I can build you a Scotty lineup. I feel like we should be able to. It's actually a pretty good lineup, dude. Oh my god, it's a really good lineup. Scheffler, Straka, Minwoo, Berger, Stevens, and Pearson Cootie. Pretty good, man. Scotty Minwoo? Okay. Well, that's a great transition to go into the next bit of lineups here. All right. Oh, you love Fox this week? Then we just built you the perfect lineup. Scheffler, English, Minwoo, Adam Scott, Theegala, and the Smotherman. That's pretty good. Scheffler, Cam Young, already love it. Minwoo, Keith Mitchell, Matt McCarty, and Hao Tong Lee. That's a really good lineup. I like that lineup a lot. Scheffler, Minwoo, Fowler, Gerard, Mitchell, and Alex Smalley. I don't mind Alex Smalley at this golf course. Scheffler, McNeely, Minwoo, Connors, Theegala, and Bud Colley. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Sign me up, man. That seems like a good lineup. Scheffler, Batia, Minwoo, Adam Scott, Corey Connors, and Taylor Moore. Hey, I just mentioned Taylor Moore not too long ago. I think it's worth playing. I'll build you one more. Scheffler, Knapp, Minwoo, Bradley, Berger, and Castillo. I'm going to say no on that one for now. A lineup like this is actually decent. Scheffler, Knapp, English, Minwoo, Danny Berger, and Chad Ramey. I'm very curious. Again, we can go to the bucket system for this. To look at last year ones, or last week ones, I should say. It's a 91% frequency rate. How often do the golfers from last week, from the last year or last week bucket one, how well do they do in this tournament? So here are the golfers that played well at the API last year. This last week finishing position: 15th, 3rd, 11th, 2nd, 11th, 18th. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2024, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2023, there's 4. 2022, there's 5. 2021, there are 6. 2019, there's only 2. 2018, there's 3. Okay. I'm gonna go to 10. Top 10. 2025, there's 4. 2024, there's 5. 2023, there's 4. 2022, there's 2. 2021, there's 6. 2019, or I could go 2021. Oh, I already did 6. 2019, there's 2. 2018, there's 2. 2017, there's none. Actually, don't even know what tournaments played before this. 2016, there's 3. Well, in the last few years, you can actually feel confident with golfers coming from the API that have done well there, playing well this week. So Collin Morikawa was 2nd at the API last year and ended up finishing 10th at the Players. Corey Connors was 3rd at the API and finished 6th at the Players. 2024, you had a golfer, or Sahith finished 6th at the API, finished 9th. 12th at the API for Hideki, he finished 6th. Second place finishes the last 2 years. Doing well. Heading into the next week. So Danny Berger, maybe? 4th, 10th, 14th. Look at that, another second place finish, finishing top 10. Now, I will say this, most of these golfers are high price golfers, 8K and above. 79, I should say, $7,900 and above. $7,900 and above. So this week, what do we have? $26 total golfers. That's crazy. Second place finish with Danny Berger. 5th place finish with Collin Morikawa. Some 3rd place finishes. I think that's fine. Yeah, Ricky Castillo. He won the week before. Oh yeah, we are taking some Puerto Rico Open guys in here too. Forgot about that. Those were some bangers. Thank you. You are welcome. Any other lineups? I'm gonna go ahead and put on the timer. Guess we'll put that up there. Let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna take off. Let's get some medicine in me. By the way, if you guys want the optimizer, send those requests. I have those queued up to go. Interesting note, McIlroy isn't expected to travel to the Players' Championship until Wednesday, Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel reports. McIlroy indicated to Lewis that his back spasms are still being stubborn and has delayed his trip to TPC Sawgrass until Wednesday as he gets treatment in South Florida. The defending champion withdrew prior to the start of the 3rd round in the Arnold Palmer Invitational after tweaking his lower back during a practice session. Fantasy managers should exercise caution with McIlroy for the time being. Okay. Rest up. Yeah, you got it, AJ. Whatever you say, boss. I think my... I want to play Jordan this week. I'm not sure. We all love you like a brother. Hope you get well soon. Thanks, Joanne. Not playing Rory, says Denny. Yeah, after reading that, I also don't want to play Rory. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to start with building lineups. I do want to build some Scheffler lineups. I know that for certain. Huh. I know you and Byron said Straka, Scott, Minwoo. I mean, I do like Adam Scott and Minwoo. I'm not a huge fan of Straka. I think that was more Byron kind of convinced me to play a little bit of Straka. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all being here and watching and all that good stuff. Sorry for the short and the early stream, but it is what it is. Hopefully you got some good information from it, and I'll see you in the next one. I might go live tomorrow. It really depends on how I feel. So members only. I will try to keep something. I'll post something either on X or on YouTube, or maybe both saying if there will be a stream tomorrow or not. If not, my apologies. Can't really forecast these things from happening. So thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.